This is the first Shabbat of the month when I tell a story, and how convenient for me that the Talmud has a story specifically leading into tonight. It's the story of why the temple in Jerusalem was destroyed. And the story goes like this. A wealthy man in Jerusalem once had a party, and he wanted to invite all of his friends. And he had a friend whose name was Kamsa, and he had an enemy whose name was Bar Kamsa. And he sent his servant out to go and deliver the invitations, and the servant accidentally invited Bar Kamsa instead of Kamsa. Bar Kamsa, thinking, maybe he wants to make amends, comes to the party. And when this man sees him, it's a party that's attended by a lot of dignitaries, the rabbis of the time, and this man, when he sees him, storms up to Bar Kamsa and yells at him about being in his home. And Bar Kamsa says, keep your voice down. I'll pay for the food I eat. And the man says, are you crazy? I want you out. And he says, I'll pay for half the party. And the man says, no. He says, I'll pay for the entire party. Just don't throw me out. Don't embarrass me. And the man says, no. And the man is physically ejected from his house. And upon seeing that, upon seeing what happened and seeing that no one else in the room spoke up for him, especially the community leaders, Bar Kamsa decides, I'm going to the Roman authorities and I'm going to tell them that the Jews are planning a rebellion. And usually, when the story gets told, that's where the story stops, because that's where the Romans get involved. And they, of course, destroyed the second temple. But there's a whole other section. The section about what really happens with Bar Kamsa and his anger. Bar Kamsa goes to the exilarch. He goes to the representative of Caesar in Jerusalem, and he says, yes, the Jews are planning a rebellion. But I think we're going to smooth this over. You should send a sacrifice, a gift, to the temple, and you'll see if the Jews accept the sacrifice and sacrifice the animal, then you know that they're really okay and things are fine, and it's a small group. But if they don't, if in the temple they reject the gift from the exilarch, from Caesar, well, then you'll have your answer. He says, and I will take that sacrifice to the temple for you. And so he goes and he takes the sacrifice from the exilarch, from the representative of Caesar, and on the way to the temple, he takes a small knife and he makes a mum, a blemish, a small wound in the animal. It's a wound that, according to the Romans, would not make the animal unfit for sacrifice, but according to the Jews, this animal is unfit for sacrifice. And so this animal is brought, Bar Kamsa says here, a gift from the exilarch, and a debate ensues. And most of the rabbis, most of the leaders there, most of the people who would make these decisions, they say, you know what? This is a gift. We should take it with the intention it was meant to be. This isn't a problem for the Romans. They wouldn't understand that we're not sacrificing this animal. And one person, Rabbi Zechariah ben Avkulus, he says, are you crazy? You can't sacrifice this animal. It's not perfect. If we sacrifice this animal, people will think that they can bring blemished animals to the temple for sacrifice, and they won't pay attention to the rules. And then a conversation ensues and says, maybe we should kill Bar Kamsa. It's a little extreme. Maybe we should kill Bar Kamsa, and then he won't be able to take the news back that we didn't sacrifice the animal, and we'll be okay. And Rabbi Zechariah, perhaps rightly this time, says, are you crazy? People will think if they bring a blemished animal, they'll be put to death, and no one will come and bring sacrifices. And the Talmud says, it's specifically because of the holier-than-thou attitude that the temple was destroyed. I find it a fascinating story because I went to Jewish summer camp, and we only heard the first part. And I worked at Jewish summer camp, and for the longest time, we only told the first part. And then I went to rabbinical school, and I studied the actual page of Talmud, and I discovered there's a whole other section. And that section isn't about the anger, because we say that it's because of wanton hatred that the temple was destroyed. But it's not just wanton hatred, that moment in the party where Bar Kamsa is thrown out. It's about the ripples in the pond and about the inability to see what's happening around and to be able to say that sometimes things are more important than the specific law. And the Talmud itself tells us, you should do these things. And the codes, the law codes that come after tell us, you should do these things. You should keep kosher. You should keep Shabbat. You should keep the Chagim. You should daven 3 times a day. How do we do this? When do we do this? All of these laws are there, but all of them are also given some flexibility. Nothing is so set in stone in our tradition that the lives of people do not supersede them. And it's these things, these moments when we forget that people are the reason that we do everything we do, that our community and the community beyond our personal community, the greater community, is why we do the things that we do. We continuously say we cannot stand idly by and see when others are hurting. We have to stand up when people are kicked out of the party without due cause. We have to speak up when others are yelling. And we have to remember that we need to sometimes step out of our own echo chamber and remind others that they have to step out of their own echo chamber. Because when you're in your own little insulated community, that's all you know. That's all Rabbi Zechariah understood, was what was happening in the temple without the greater implications, the ripples that spread from the temple outward through Jerusalem, through Israel, through Judea, and into the greater world. It's important that we not only talk the talk, but that we walk the walk. And that goes for us. It goes for our leaders. We pray today. We hope that God will provide our leaders and advisors, all of them, with insight to do what they're there to do, to live in service of our community. And we hope that we can support them in doing those. Shabbat Shalom.